Hi everyone, today I'm in the south of Pu'er City, the city we've been living in for about 6 years now, and I'd like to show you the different wholesale tea markets that we can find in the city. The tea city is surrounded by tea gardens, and where I am here it's kind of a park, and the locals like to take a hike on the southernmost hills. There's also a very nice lake nearby, so it's quite a nice place to breathe fresh air on the weekends. Now you can see that the city is just behind me. We're gonna go down the hill and we're gonna go to our first tea market, which is Longshan Wholesale Tea Market, the oldest one in Pu'er City. Let's go. So we're now going downhill and we're on our way to Longshan Tea Market, the oldest wholesale tea market in the city. And I hope I will find room to park my car because it's quite cramped there. The streets are quite small. Let's see what we find. Oof, we finally found a place to park, so now let's explore the market and go find my friend. My friend explains that this tea market opened in 2000. Before that, there was no wholesale market in Pu'er City. The trade would be done directly in the mountains. It was mostly large state companies who would source the tea. There was no need for an exchange platform. We had a very enjoyable tea from Bang Wai while browsing through his ripe pu'er tea collection. He specializes in fermentation, and I often meet him checking his ripe pu'er piles in the industrial park where we press our cakes. I like to talk with such people because we can discuss the techniques in depth and not waste time on telling stories. If you visit Pu'er City, you will find that most tea vendors don't have an elaborate sales pitch such as you could hear in the large cities, more oriented towards retailing. The tea shop here is not a place to sell tea, it's more of an office to receive friends and customers. OK, 那有时间再见吧，我们可以改天可以去我茶店。好，改天一定去拜访。好，慢慢走啊。是吗？哎。So I had tea with my friend Zhang Weiming for about half an hour, and we talked a bit about the situation in this market. And so he told me it's the oldest market in Pu'er City. It was established in 2000. Now you can find a lot of long-timer, you could say, people who've been in the business for a while in this market, so potentially you can find good tea. But if you look at the tea shop, they really look like the old-style tea shop. So it means you have lots of cardboard boxes everywhere, some packages have opened, some pu'er tea cakes hanging around all over the place. So it's quite a messy market, but I think that's what makes the charm of this market. It's really rough around the edges, but it's potentially the market where you can find good tea. So if you're visiting Pu'er City, you might want to give a try to this market, and I'm sure you will find something that you like. It's sunset now on Pu'er City. We've explored this little market in the south. Now we're going to go north of the city and go to a bigger market. Let's go. So it's the rush hour now in Pu'er City, but it's still fine. It's a small city, so no big deal. There are different kinds of people who open a tea shop. For example, my friend we just met now is a wholesaler in ripe pu'er tea. So mainly he does fermentation. I often meet him actually where I press my cakes in the industrial park of Pu'er City, because we can press the cake and nearby there's a fermentation room. So he does his fermentation there, and he uses his tea shop as a platform to meet his customers and sell his tea. Now there are other kinds of people who have a tea shop. For example, you have tea farmers who only sell the tea that their family produce, and this is quite common for the medium-sized tea factories in the villages. So you could say it's still a factory at the village level, but maybe they are a bit more successful than the others. This is especially prevalent in the areas which are not too famous and in which they don't have visitors. The reason those farmers move to the city is often for the education of the children, because in China they believe that the education is better in the city than in the countryside, and so in order to be able to go to school in the city, they open a tea shop there. You also have some generalist shops, so they are tea traders. Usually you won't find the best teas there, but you might find good price for value, and you will find any kind of tea. This is also an industry that maybe is parallel and slightly different to ours, because those people will not talk too much about terroir, but more about blends, or usually the origin of the tea will not be mentioned, or it will be mislabeled. It's also a kind of social status thing to have a tea shop. It makes you like a big boss. Some people who have jobs that require the trust, for example, working for construction projects, they might have a tea shop just to give themselves some face, to show their customers that they have money, that they can be trusted, and that they won't go bankrupt anytime soon. In the tea market, you will also find some businesses which are related to the tea industry. For example, the packaging shops, or some printers or designers for the wrappers. So it's quite useful for a tea businessman to be in the tea market, because all these services will be easily accessible. So there's a little change of plan. As I see that the sun is setting, I'd like to show you something very interesting that occurs in the northernmost tea market of Pu'er City, and that is like the kind of exchange platform for the tea. It's a different kind of business, so you have to see that. Let's go there now, and then we'll go to Chamagujen. Okay, we're there. Let's enter the market. And so you can see this market gives a different vibe. It's a very large hangar with some tea shops all around. Let's park here and have a look. Oh, we arrived too late. The market is already closed, so we'll come back tomorrow and show you that stuff. So now let's go to Chamagujen and find my friends there. The north of the city is all newly built. All the buildings sprouted around 2010. The wide streets, official buildings, and large residential compounds give a very different vibe from the city center. Chamagujen is only 5 minutes away by car, and I often go there to visit friends. We're now at the entrance of Chamagujen, the main tea market of Pu'er City. There are about 300 tea shops in this city, so let's have a look. There are all kinds of tea shops in this tea market. You can see I'm standing in front of the Dai tea shop. So you have all the main brands of Pu'er tea in this tea market, and also smaller people who can be tea farmers or small wholesalers and middlemen who have a shop here. So now we're going to visit my friend who has a small tea shop and comes from Jingmai. Let's go! Dao Yongbin and Yu Ping are from Jingmai. They opened their tea shop in 2018. Like I mentioned before, it's mainly to allow the children to go to a good school. Just like us, they go back to Jingmai at every harvest. With the new highway, it's only 3 hours away now. We like to meet and talk about life over good tea. They only sell Jingmai teas and are about the same size as us. We like to compare our teas and talk about processing. We talked for over an hour, and I went back home. On the next day, I headed straight to the exchange market, the big one. It's only 5 minutes away from our tea shop. It used to be in the city center, but they moved it 2 years ago to reclaim the land. There's not much going on these days, because it's winter, and no tea is growing. This market looks like no other. When I first arrived in China, this is what I expected a real wholesale market to be. A hangar filled with large bags of tea and people shouting and haggling. If you want to have a representative sample of what tea is made in Pu'er County, this is where you have to go. Black, green, white and pu'er are available in all forms and shapes. Usually, The better the look, the more boring the tea. These are for the mass market and are exported by the truckload all over China. I was going to meet my friend John, who was an official English translator and interpret for the government. He's young and very smart. He has a tea shop nearby and recently started to sell tea on the exchange platform. Let's find John.
Today you come to this market, I would like to introduce some of the tea I sell in this place. So you can see different kinds of black tea and green tea and also white tea and some of the post-fermented tea. Yeah.
This is called like tea fossil, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the business here?
I think my business here is quite good.
Yeah?
Because people think I'm so honest to them. I sell the good tea to them, and they also can sell at their market with good profit.
So they are you mostly do wholesale here. People buy the tea here and will resell it somewhere else.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
And I also have some customers. They buy the tea for themselves, and they also send those teas to their friends or their families as a gift.
So what's your best seller here on?
Best seller is raw tea.
Pu'er tea.
Yeah, this pu'er
Okay,
tea.
pu'er tea from Jinggu.
Yeah, from Jinggu.
Whereabouts in Jinggu? Which village?
This village called Yako.
Yako.
Yeah, Yako village. Not so famous, but have good scenery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Very fantastic scenery.
Can I take a sample maybe? I'd like to try.
Okay.
Or maybe, you can come to my shop.
Yeah,
if you have
I would
time.
like to. Yeah, I would like to.
When do you have time? This
Maybe
afternoon?
tomorrow. Yeah,
tomorrow.
maybe tomorrow, yeah. Because today I have many business to deal with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, business is good. You have to keep doing it. Okay, so tomorrow you can bring me a bit of tea.
I would like to bring some, and you can give me a whole evaluation on this tea.
We can just drink tea together.
I would like to have your evaluation on this tea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. If you want to buy some nice tea, if you're visiting Pu'er and want to buy some nice tea in the wholesale tea market in the north, you can visit John. You can see he's in the big hangar next to the entrance, next to the main door. And he speaks very good English, so you'll be able to find him, and he has very good tea, very beautiful tea.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm gonna go now, so see you later.
See you later.
Maybe see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, yeah.
Okay, great. And you can bring me the Jinggu sample. I'd like to try. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And this concludes our tour of the tea markets in Pu'er City. I hope you enjoyed it and that you'll be able to visit us soon. Thanks for watching and see you later. Bye bye.